Welcome to Burn the Ship. This is the podcast where we connect entrepreneurs or professionals that can help you go all in on your business. We talk to people that have walked the walk, talked the talk, been through all the things that you experience as a small business owner, come out the other side of those things, willing to share those experiences with us. So, first of all, thank you for coming. Anybody that shares some time with me, some time with the audience, it means a ton to me. It's very beneficial to those guys. So it's very gracious of you to share some of your time, some of your experiences with us. So thank you for that very, very much. But this is Burn the Ship podcast. I'd love for you to introduce yourself and your business.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for letting me be here today. So my name is Troy Whitaker, and I own a company called Wash Kleen Pressure Washing. We're one of Kentucky's largest pressure washing exterior cleaning companies. We specialize in commercial cleaning, residential cleaning, industrial cleaning, and so that's what we do down here in Southern Kentucky.
Nice. I'll be headed right through where your kind of where your headquarters is to go hunt in just a couple of months up there, in about 3 months in November. Fun. Oh yeah, I love it up there. We go bow hunt on the same property. We go to Illinois one year and Kentucky one year, so that it's a beautiful place, and it is it's really cool how the relationships that you've built there have turned your business into what it is. So let's start from the beginning. Tell me a little of your story. How did you get into what you're doing now?
Man, it's I feel old. So go back. So I was 22 years old. I was an assistant manager for Walmart in Lexington, Kentucky, and a guy comes in. He said, "I'm here to pressure wash your sidewalks." And of course, I did pressure wash stuff around my house and everything else. And so he comes back 45 minutes later and tells me I owe him $300 and some. And so I said, "Well, let's go see what you did for $300 and some in 45 minutes." And so go out there, everything looks good, and got the little gears started turning in my head. The smoke started coming out of my ears, and then a couple of months later, I was in Bristol, Tennessee, back in the late '90s, early 2000s, and they put dirt on there for the first time, and there was a guy there pressure washing race cars, cleaning them up, and I'm thinking he's got 50 cars lined up. He's charged them $10 each. He's going to make a ton of money this weekend. So I strike up a conversation with the guy, and he basically says, "You don't get it." And I said, "Well, what don't I get? You're going to make a couple grand this weekend." He said, "I've got the contract to clean the speedway when they're finished." And there's 80,000, 100,000. I can't remember exactly what he said. And so that literally started a fire in me. I went home. I told my wife that I was going to go into the pressure washing business, and she thought I was crazy. So I maxed out a credit card buying used pressure washing equipment and started knocking on doors. And literally, I would go and write pressure washing and my phone number and put it on yard signs and stick it up in neighborhoods. And then the nights that she had night school, I would go knock on doors until I had enough business to keep me busy all weekend.
That is awesome. And so tell me, that's 20 years ago?
Yeah, that's 20 years ago. For the first several years, I also had a full-time job. It was hard to step away from the benefits, the health insurance and stuff like that. And so back in 2015, I had the opportunity to go into it full time, and so I've been doing it full time for about 10 years. And from the first year that we did it full time to now, we have 10x our business.
Wow! So tell me some of the intricacies. How much is retail? How much is B2B? What's really your focus? What's kind of your goals?
So pre-COVID and during COVID, the majority of my
retail.
business.
I meant residential. Sorry.
Yeah, I understand. Pre-COVID and during COVID, the majority of my business had really been a lot of residential. I had some commercial accounts that we did from time to time, but for the most part, it was probably 70-30 residential. And in the past 4 to 5 years, that has did a flip flop to where I'm 70 to 80% commercial now. We have trucks that go out to clean gas stations all night long. We'll clean 200 gas stations a year. There's an apartment complex company that we'll travel with, and we'll go from southern Indiana to southern Alabama, cleaning apartment complexes, bakeries, factories, just about anything you can imagine.
So tell me, where do you go from here? Are you trying to get more commercial? Is it the same amount of work that you want to do? Or are you trying to do more work, hire more people?
Definitely want to steer myself toward more commercial work. I've tried to, in the past couple of years, try to place myself part of some different organizations to position myself to be in front of people as far as, Chamber of Commerce, stuff like that, as other different organizations that are affiliated with, whether it be a hospital or whether it be, you know, factories or warehousing and stuff like that, so that we can, just like I said, put myself in front of other people to help grow the business to where we can, biggest thing is to gain more employees and help other people out. That's my as I started growing my business, I realized that I was doing pretty good for myself. And then when I started getting employees, the ability to provide for other families is really something that is, once you can start doing that, it's really something that feels good, and you want to grow and provide for more families.
Yeah, no doubt. I've experienced that myself, and it's been maybe the most beneficial transformation the whole time for me is that you're finding reps and you're teaching them how to do this thing, and you're teaching them how to master this craft. But once you see that light switch go in somebody's head of like, I can use this thing to make my life go where I want to go, it makes you equally invested in that, and it's super satisfying. Flex your muscles for me a little bit. Tell me this. You went from your phone number and pressure washings on yard signs. What do things look like now? I know you've added some software to the
Oh
game.
yeah, we've we've got our own shop, we've got our own place where equipment we're running 3 trucks. We got 5 different trailers that we have. We're one of the only companies in Southern Kentucky that has what we call a wastewater reclaim system. So where we can go in and basically, for the lack of better words, we can steam clean the inside of your warehouse or your factory floor and vacuum up all of our water as we go. As far as the industrial side of it, we're able to clean, basically a 4-story building from standing on the ground with the different technologies and stuff that we have. In the past year, we've actually started our own chemical line, to where we sell our own soaps and detergents to our competitors.
Nice.
I'm one of the largest. Like I said, I'm one of the largest. Probably if I had to guess, probably the 4th largest cleaning company in Kentucky. Some of the chemicals we buy from our providers, if anybody else in the state of Kentucky calls this company, they have to come. They have to go through me to buy the products.
Wow.
And so, one thing that we're trying to, with the chemical side of it, the gutter cleaning, the rust remover stuff, the soap additives for the bleach, we're trying to supply that to some local hardware stores. I'm getting involved into some more different the automotive side of the chemicals, where we have truck wash, fleet washing equipment, fleet washing stuff, and as far as tire dressing, a little spray on wax where you wipe off, all kinds of good stuff.
Nice. Are you looking to do that more than locally?
Oh, definitely. That is something that I would love to take, globally if I could.
Sure.
Something that's where, that would be some, great residual income if we could, get some, a trucking company that's buying two barrels of truck wash, each month. That's where it saves my muscles from having to go out and sling a pressure washing one, because
Sure.
even though I've been doing this for this long, on these bigger jobs, I'm, you're still on site making sure everything's going perfectly.
Well, I have some pressure washing clients. Um, I have one in Toronto. I have one in the middle of Florida. I have one in Texas. I have one in California. So I have them everywhere, and they network with people like themselves. So I can make some introductions for you. And let them know what
Absolutely.
you think.
We're the one thing about the cleaning industry is that through social media, we are extremely connected. I've actually kind of got away from a little bit of that in the past few years, but through we have forums or whatever you want to call it on Facebook, or groups on Facebook, that it allows us to stay connected with people all over. And so I definitely would love to meet,
Sure.
I always love to meet people who's out there doing better than me. That way I can see what I need to do better.
Yeah, I can make some intros for you easy. They're super nice. They've been clients of ours for a while, and they're great people. And some of them aren't clients of ours. Some of them just don't. Their technology doesn't necessarily jive with our technology.
Yeah.
Kind of like yours. You use the customer factor, right?
Yes.
Customer factor has payments, and they don't play well in the same sandbox as us, right? And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, our technology doesn't jive with your stuff, even though I'd like to work with you. It is what it is. So I have a good relationships that aren't financially bound to me, that are super nice people that are super willing to
That's
help. They've made
awesome.
introductions for me for the podcast, all kind of stuff. They're super, super nice. So I can make some intros for you. But
That'd be great.
tell me this, um, as you've grown, what is that thing that you guys have always been good at that has helped you grow? Like, what is that skill or that personality trait that you've developed and integrated into your business that's kind of been that core thing that you keep going back to, that's really causing you guys to turn your business into what you want it to be?
The biggest thing that, whether it be, cleaning a little old lady's single wide mobile home, or cleaning a $40,000 project at a hospital, we treated everybody the same. Everybody, each customer, no matter how big or small, you're just as important to us. And that's something that I started out, very early on. It doesn't matter who you are, we're still gonna treat you the same. We're gonna treat you like family. To me, it's not having customers; it's about building relationships, and that's how I develop my business. So especially here locally, especially in a small town, the majority of my customers are not just my customers; they're my friends, and I extend that, and I try to teach my employees how to build that into their relationship with their customers as we get bigger, and I'm not the one going out, knocking on the doors and cleaning and doing the work.
Yeah, absolutely. What a flip side of the coin of that? What's been difficult? What's been the biggest learning curve for yourself, your employees? What's kind of been the thing that, if you could go back and teach yourself this lesson day one, it'd be the most beneficial lesson you could learn?
The hardest thing to do, when you have a service business, when you're the one who started it, you're the one who founded the name of it and everything else, is to give the reins to someone else. That is by far the hardest thing to do, is to let an employee drive my truck across town and go represent me and to another customer, because they may not do it exactly how I want to when I'm not there. And so that's the part, that's the most difficult part. To me, I've had some great employees. I feel blessed. A lot of people in this type of industry say they struggle finding help, and the help that I have found, and I went through a lot to get here, but the help that I have found has been truly remarkable.
Yeah, it's not easy, and the turnover is expensive as well. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Is finding new people, training new people, going through that whole process of letting them out on their own to be a representation of you is not easy. I would say that it's probably one of the biggest things that inhibits growth for people, is that they find it hard to um, keep the experience that their brand represents whole as they're letting more people into the fold. And I think a lot of that comes down to training and company culture. Is do you know what kind of place you're stepping into and how you expect to represent these people? So talk to me a little bit about that. About, kind of, we talked about your faith and how you represent that in your business, and I'm assuming that probably a lot of the people that are working with you have found it very innately easy to kind of represent yourself the same way.
Exactly, and so I pride myself to be a Christian-based business. That's one of the things that I first and foremost that I tell all my employees is that we're going to do things the right way. That we are going to you know we're going to love God, and we're going to love each other, and that's something that I'm very been blessed that my employees. Matter of fact. My best employee that I've got, he's been with me for 5 years, and he just got baptized 2 weeks ago, and so that was a huge thing that we've had. I'm part of if you see over my shoulder here, there's a thing called Rise Up Kings. It's a men's mentor business group. You say that right. It's a business mentor men's group that is out of Dallas, Texas, and a guy by the name of Skylar Lewis started this company a few years ago, and it's a network of men who own businesses anywhere from $1 million to $500,000 to $100 million a year companies, that they all love the Lord, and they're all there to help each other. And so a lot of times whenever I start struggling, I kind of lean into these guys, and they really help me out and kind of pull me back in the right direction. And so that's one thing that we really try to focus on. And I think I think if you're doing it in a genuine way, it automatically comes out when you're in front of the customer. And because I tell we're not in it we're not in it to put on a show. We're in it, to make sure we do the job right and all that good stuff. And so, these guys are genuine employees that I love dearly. Honestly, I used to say that we had such a good relationship that I think they'd hide a body for me, but but they truly are great employees.
Yeah, no, it's hard to find. It's not
Yeah,
easy, and it's hard to get people. I think the real skill is just to double down on this is trying to people that want to represent you the same way
yeah,
that you represent yourself. I mean, I think that speaks volume to you.
yeah.
I think it speaks volume to how loud you represent yourself and how comfortable you are being yourself,
Mhm.
and then giving somebody a platform to also be comfortable being themselves is a difficult thing to do. It doesn't happen in the corporate world. It just
No.
doesn't. Um, my company's the same way. When I started with my company, there were the two owners. One's on the sales side, one's on the service side, and I was the first employee we ever had. And so the company culture didn't exist. It was just these two guys and learning how to trust them and learning how to let them trust me, and then realizing that we are partners in this together. That they promote me to go do my job and to get off my couch and wake up early, not because they're going to call me, not because they track me as an employee, not because they feel they've been robbed of their investment. It's so that I'll go make something better of myself and support my family in a way, and then that can permeate down to the bottom of our organization. That's the newest employee here can see that we are comfortable being who we are and representing ourselves and being genuine and being authentic and being helpful and being connectors of people. And I encourage you, if you're listening behind the camera right now to this podcast, thank you for listening. But think about what that culture is for you. Think about how you represent yourself and how you want your employees to replicate that out there into the world. Because the less authentic it is, the less honest it is with yourself, the more difficult it's going to be to really paint that picture for people. So I applaud you for that, because it really is a really,
Uh,
really difficult thing, especially as a startup, as an owner operator, as someone that's grown organically and at your own pace, and made sure that you could do right by people, and probably taken some pretty considerable losses. I mean,
oh,
you've
absolutely.
probably had to fix stuff where you're net negative on jobs just to maintain and
Yeah.
cement that relationship with people. Like, we do that too. I've had to give stuff away. I've had to take losses on deals because who we are matters more to us than what we make. And I think that that's a really, really good question to ask yourself as a small business. Is not what do we make, or what service or product do we render to people. It's who are we, and do people like how we represent ourselves, and do we want to keep doing it that same way? Because a lot of times the answer is yes, but a lot of times the answer is no. If you're afraid to put a little bit of yourself in your business, it just flat out makes it harder to grow.
Yeah, that's it's something that you hit on is one of the biggest things, and I guess I forgot to mention a while ago is that you got to have a business that has core values.
Mm,
If you can't write down three or four, five core values, have it on your door when you walk in that this is what this company is going to do. This is how we are going to work our company, and we're not under no circumstances are we going to differ off of these four or five core values. Ours is doing the right thing, making sure the customer's taken care of. Doing it the godly way. And that's the key to our success is to, like I said, just treat these people like family, love on them. There's times that we've given stuff away just because we needed to, just because
mm,
we wanted to help people out. And so that's the way we do things. Here lately, and I definitely don't want to brag about this, but we had a terrible tornado to come through our area about 3 or 4 months ago, and one of my customers suffered traumatic loss, and they actually had part of a roof go flying through the third story of an apartment complex, and tons of damage. And so I just called my employees and I said, hey, I know it's Sunday, but we know what happened. Let's just load up and take our equipment and go over there and start helping. And so we went over there. We worked for 2 days, and I could care less if they paid me or not. So that's how you if you treat your customers that way, then that's what's going to grow your business.
100%. And that's what your brand is. That's who you are.
Yeah.
And your employees see the impact that that has on people in a real life scenario. Like, that stuff is powerful, man. There's a reason that those are the the types of stories that you read about that are 2,000 years old. Like, there's a reason that that stuff sticks with people, is being helpful and treating people how you want to be treated. There's a reason that that has been a core value of humanity before capitalism for, some 10,000 years. Like, we are helpers. We are part of an ecosystem that we have to live in, whether that be the business world or I've got to go pick up my third grader in an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Like, all of those things is a network and an ecosystem of people, and you have to find a way to be symbiotic in those ecosystems. You have to find a way to get what you want and get what you need. You have to find a way to be helpful and meet people where they are, because there's always going to be scenarios that, we always hear, like, you think about your ideal client, this customer avatar. Like, not everyone's going to be that. You have to be versatile enough, and you have to be understanding of people enough to realize that sometimes you're just going to have to do thing that doesn't fit in the main idea of what your bottom dollar is. There are things like that, and it's honestly, it's really, really refreshing every time I have these conversations to know there's people out there that still think that way. I mean, we try our best to instill that, and especially people that we work with really, really early on in your business, is that you're going to have to give some stuff away. You're going to have to do the right thing. You are owning this business, and you are rendering this service for people because you are capable. There are people out there that are not capable of doing what you do, that need what you have. Help those people, and people will help you. And I think that just the easiest way that you can boil that down and put that in your core values and try to replicate that for your employees is just impossible to put a number on how valuable it is. So
Absolutely. But in this business, I mean, I tell people that I've literally had lunch with a state senator, and 2 hours later, I'm cleaning out the back of a cattle trailer.
yeah,
It's that's just the way that this type of business works. Is you just do what it takes to, you just do what it takes to make the difference. That's one thing I love about the cleaning business, and how I started this business, is because it is very gratifying to see something dirty and work on it for a couple hours, and the next thing you know, I mean, I've had homeowners come up crying because their house looks so good. And I'm not saying that I'm that great. It's just that there were stains on their house that they had no idea how to get out. And we just have the technology and the knowledge of what chemicals and stuff to apply to it. And then when you get that, and you get a Christmas card, literally you get a Christmas card from a person that you cleaned a double wide trailer from, or whatever house from, and that's what makes it worth doing things the way that we do it.
Absolutely. Well, how do we help? How do both my organization and the people that are listening, what are the connections that you're looking for? What are things that we can do to bring some value to you guys, the way that you're trying to do that for your community?
Well, one of the things is, as far as the way that I want to grow my business, definitely my chemical side of the business, as far as growing the soaps and detergents and stuff like that, that is something that we can ship anywhere in the U.S. And if you have a hardware store, if you have a trucking company and you're needing some truck wash, if you have that type of stuff, that's something that we can ship anywhere. As far as the more manual labor side of our business, as far as the going out here and cleaning and stuff, we really strive, as far as homeowners associations, apartment complexes, maintenance directors. One of the things that we've been working on here lately is we're getting involved in air conditioning coil cleaning, where on these big industrial air conditioning coils, we'll get in there, and we actually have our own acid, our own soaps and detergents that we private label, that we spray on there, that draws all that debris out, and then we just rinse it off, we steam clean it off, and everything else. So that's something that if you have a factory that's needs that type of work, we specialize mainly here lately in such large commercial work.
I know someone that does. I absolutely know someone that does in your area. I just thought about it. I'll connect you with him after this. His name's Rick. He's a good friend of mine. He's got a bunch he's got a couple thousand acres in southern Kentucky, and it's all warehousing. He owns a trucking and logistics companies,
Yeah.
and they've just got all kinds of stuff out there. It's kind of their central hub. They operate
Yeah.
all the way from the northeast side of the United States all the way down to Florida. So they have a huge set of assets out there. I'll make an introduction for you. He's a good
That would
pal
be
of mine.
amazing.
Yeah, he built like our I guess you would call it a bar, but it's not really a bar. It's like kind of the thing that you lean on in the back of our office. Like we had a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff when we bought this building that just needed some upkeep, and he had like these really old pressure treated stained pieces of wood that he just thought were beautiful to make counters
Yeah.
and to make things out. And he did a bunch of our counters here with those pieces of wood. Didn't charge us anything. Just, hey, I've got something that looks like it should go right here. I'm gonna
Yeah.
hang it. It's that type of guy. They're good
That's
people.
awesome.
Yeah, we actually took our whole organization to a concert maybe a couple months ago. Everyone here in the office, and he's got like a party bus that they use to go to football games and stuff. He let us use the party bus, and we
That's
we
pretty
had
cool.
a good time out there. And they're good people. They're people worth knowing for sure. He's probably got just a monstrosity of a network. I mean, I can't believe he's an older guy, and he definitely just knows uber people. So
Mm.
if you know people like that, if you are one of the people listening, please let's make some connections for each other, build a relationship, set up some time to talk to Troy. Troy's been super hospitable to me, willingness to talk to me on the phone for probably more time than I needed to talk to you on the phone for. So,
Anytime.
yeah, well, thank you for that. Thank you for being one of the business owners out there in the world that's willing to help other people, man. This is it's not an easy game, and it's a lonely game. And if that is your story, if that's how you feel about your business right now, don't let it be that. Let me be of assistance, or let me connect some dots for you, or reach out to people that are influencers in their space and in their industries and in their spheres of influence. Like, it's really cool what you can do when you reach out and connect with people. Sometimes you don't have to always look for that next customer. Sometimes the next relationship is the most profitable thing that you can build. So thank you for being that. Thank you for reinforcing that a little bit in me and sharing that with our audience. It really does mean a lot. So I ask you this: if you had to sum up 20 years of being an entrepreneur and 10 years of doing it full time, sum it up in a couple of sentences for us. What's it done for you to burn the ship and go all in on your business and make it what you want?
I tell you, it's allowed me to go places I never thought I'd be able to go. It's been a lot of hard work, physically and mentally. It's allowed me. Many years ago, I started this business, and I said, God, if you give me a job, a business that I can take my kids to school and I can pick them up at school, then I will do whatever you need me to do during that window. And he has blessed me with that. And so that's one thing that I pride myself in, is that I've always been able to take my kids to school and pick them up. I always say that if you see me working at midnight or on the weekends, things are either going really good or they're going really bad. And so that's one thing that I've find your goal. Find your goal, then the rest will follow in. You got to have your passion, and that's what it is. My passion was my family, and so my business fell into that category that allowed me to grow a business like I have. Like I said, we've 10x'd our business in the past 10 years, and so that part is it's definitely it's amazing to look back and see what's happened.
Yeah, it really is. I've shared some of that experience too. 10 years in, when I first started here, my oldest wasn't even born yet. And now I have an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old, and the 2-year-old has lived a completely different childhood than the 8-year-old. Like they've been in a
Definitely.
completely different place. I'm doing stuff for the first time with my 8-year-old and the 2-year-old at the same time. Things that neither of them have ever done. Things that I've never done. You know what I mean? Places we've never gone and things we've been able to do. It's really because of you guys. Because of the listeners here, the people in my network, the people that work really hard to make that possible for themselves and for us. And I couldn't be more grateful. And that's the reason that we do this podcast. Is I love having these conversations, and there hasn't been a single one of these conversations that I've had where somebody said that their business is so successful because they're so good at what they do. It takes a village, it takes a community, and it takes being a team player. And this is a wonderful example of that. So thank you so much, Troy. And thank you guys for listening. Until next time, burn the ship.